SEO no longer means just optimizing for Google search results. If you want to grow your organic presence today, you need to understand how tools like Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity actually work. Because these tools aren't just answering questions. Increasingly, they're shaping the actual decisions your potential customers are making, often without you even realizing it. And if your content isn't showing up in those AI-generated answers, you're leaving visibility and revenue on the table. The truth is, we're not in the era of 10 blue links anymore. Every time somebody prompts their favorite LLM, it pulls pieces of content from across the web just to generate a single answer, custom built for that particular user. That's where Generative Engine Optimization comes in. In this video, you'll learn what GEO is, at least how we're thinking about it right now, how it works, and a 6-step playbook to help your brand get recommended by AI, no matter the platform. Let's first talk about the shift that's happening right now. For years, search mostly just meant Google, one algorithm and one place to rank. But that world is gone, and we're calling this the new era of search everywhere, because search isn't dying or declining, it's just decentralizing. People still Google things, but increasingly they're watching how-to videos on YouTube, skimming Reddit threads, browsing TikTok comments, and reading posts on LinkedIn. And increasingly, they're asking their questions to generative AI tools that consume all of those data sources. Each of these platforms has its own logic, its own recommendation engine, and its own way of deciding what gets surfaced or ignored. So visibility today is not about one algorithm. It's about showing up wherever your audience is already looking for answers. And the data backs all this up. Semrush predicts that by the end of 2027, LLM traffic will overtake traditional search. And at Backlinko, we've seen it firsthand. AI tool referrals are up 800% year over year because our users aren't just reading blog posts anymore. They're consuming information across all of these different platforms, formats, and engines. That brings us to GEO. GEO means optimizing your brand and content to get cited in AI-generated answers across tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI Mode, and more. Instead of just aiming for rankings, you're aiming to become a trusted source, and that changes the game. But it does not mean throwing out everything you already know about SEO. In fact, in many ways, GEO builds on the best parts of SEO. Content quality, technical fundamentals, and authority all still matter. But it does introduce new tactics and considerations based on how these large language models actually work. So, what's actually different? In traditional SEO, success often meant higher rankings and traffic to your own website. With GEO, success means getting cited. You want your brand to become part of the answer itself. And that means mentions, not just backlinks, are what signals trust. Your content has to solve problems and answer questions clearly, concisely, and across way more than just your own website. That's why we put together the 6-step action plan to help you adapt. Let's go through it now. Step 1, get your fundamentals right. A lot of brands are skipping the basics, and then they're wondering why they're not showing up in AI answers. It's important to reiterate, GEO still starts with solid SEO. If your site isn't crawlable, fast, or mobile-friendly, you're going to be invisible. Not just to Google, but to all of the other AI models as well. So, before you think about advanced tactics, make sure the foundation is solid. Structure your content with clear headings and page titles. Build a strong internal link structure to help organize your site. Make sure every page is indexable and prioritize speed and mobile performance. That's just the baseline. But visibility isn't just about being accessible. It's about being credible. And that's where the EEAT framework comes in. You need to demonstrate experience, real results, first-hand knowledge, and original insights. Expertise, show depth, not just summaries. Authority, get mentioned, cited, and quoted by others. And trust, use real author bios, link out to sources, and highlight testimonials. This isn't about gaming the system. It's about creating content that both humans and AI engines recognize as trustworthy. Because if the AI doesn't trust you, it's not going to cite you. Step 2 is where things start to shift. Because AI tools don't just follow links. They learn from mentions. What's getting talked about? Where is it being talked about? And in what context? So if your brand isn't showing up in relevant Reddit threads, YouTube videos, forum posts, or industry roundups, you're not just missing exposure. You're handing that visibility to your competitors. And that's where co-citations come in. AI systems look at how often your brand appears next to other trusted names, even if there's no link at all. So here's how to build that signal. Search for your brand name across platforms where your customers are actually hanging out. Track how often you're being mentioned and what the general sentiment looks like. Find ways to add value to those conversations in the same spaces that your customers are. Get included in comparison posts, resource lists, and roundup content. And yes, backlinks still matter, but now they're really just one piece of the larger puzzle. What matters now is mentions, context, and association. That's what tells LLMs this brand belongs in the answer. Step 3, go multi-platform. Because generative engines don't just pull text content and blog posts. They pull from everywhere across the web. That means your concept of organic visibility shouldn't just be limited to your website anymore. AI tools are scanning YouTube videos and transcripts, Reddit and Quora threads, podcast transcripts and summaries, LinkedIn posts, TikTok and Instagram captions, all of it. So if your brand only exists on your blog, you're invisible to most of the modern web. Going multi-platform does two important things. First, it helps you show up where your audience actually is and where they spend their time. And second, it gives AI models more surface area to recognize, cite, and trust your brand. The more places that your voice and your content appears, the more likely you are to be part of the answer. Step 4, see what AI is already citing. And you don't have to guess how this works. Just open up ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini and start prompting like a real customer might. Ask the questions you think your audience is asking. What's the best product or service for this particular situation? Which brands are most trusted for this topic? How does this category compare to that category? And then study the results. Which brands are showing up? Which platforms are the citations being pulled from? And what's the tone or sentiment that surrounds the answers? This is one of the easiest and most eye-opening ways to understand what LLMs actually value. And once you've got that baseline, you'll start seeing the gaps everywhere. These are now opportunities for you to create content that no one else is covering, or to earn a spot where your competitors are already showing up. You can scale this with new GEO tools from providers like SEMrush. But even manual testing gives you a huge edge. Step 5, answer real questions. People don't talk to AI the way they would normally search on Google. They're not just typing meal prep ideas anymore. Instead, they're asking, what should I cook this week if I'm trying to lose weight, but I only have 30 minutes a night? That's the level of detail that generative engines are working with right now. And if your content doesn't really match how real people speak, you're not going to get cited, no matter how good you think it is. So here's what to do. Dig through your customer support tickets, sales call transcripts, and customer reviews. Pay attention to Reddit, Discord, Slack groups, and niche forums, wherever your customers are. Pull out questions that people are actually asking in their own words. These are gold, not just for SEO or AI visibility, but for your entire marketing strategy. And the best thing of all, these long-tail conversational prompts are usually wide open because most brands are still chasing keywords. They're not answering real questions. So if you can answer better and sound more human while doing it, you'll win in GEO. Step 7, track your LLM visibility. Because if you're not measuring it, you can't improve it. So start simple. Make a list of the prompts you think your target audience are asking. These can just be a simple derivative of your traditional SEO keywords that you already know and track. Every day, check 2 to 3 LLMs to see how they're answering. Remember, you're generally going to want to use logged out mode to avoid personalization and custom results. When it comes to paid tools, the number one I recommend right now is SEMrush. It's still early days in the GEO tool world, but SEMrush has a lot to like. You can use the AI toolkit to track your domain's visibility across AI answer engines. And inside position tracking, you can now start monitoring how often your content shows up in ChatGPT search responses. If you're a larger company, the Enterprise AIO platform takes this even further, helping you track brand mentions, citations, and visibility at scale. So now you've seen our updated playbook. GEO is not about starting over. It's about shifting how you think about organic visibility and expanding the definition of SEO to cover what really matters today. The good news is, though, that if you've already invested in good content and building real authority with your brand, you're on the right track. Now it's just time to start optimizing for how AI finds and cites information, start showing up where your audience is actually searching, and build a brand that deserves to be part of the AI answers. If you want help implementing GEO for your business, subscribe to the channel. We're publishing new content every week. You can also check out the full blog post guide linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.